Coming up on today's show, Tesla announces its unlimited free supercharging will end for new customers next year. Post-US election, lobbyists already tried to shut down electric cars, and the Chevrolet Bolt EV ramps up its production as predicted, demand heads upwards. These stories and more next on T.E.N. Like all our content, today's show is only possible thanks to the kind donations of viewers like you. Head to www.patreon.com/transportevolved to find out how you can make your own donation today to keep us independent and impartial. And if you're already donating, thanks for your continued support. It's Friday, November 11th, 2016. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and we're starting today's show with the news that Tesla has announced some big changes to the way its supercharger network will operate in the future. To date, anyone buying a Tesla Model S or Tesla Model X have been granted unlimited access to the Tesla Supercharger network. The cost of providing that network and building it and powering it, of course, being underwritten by the sticker prices of the Model S and Model X. But from January 1st next year, anyone ordering a Tesla electric car, regardless of its model or spec, will be given only 400 kilowatt hours of free electricity per year on the Supercharger network. That's equivalent to about 1,000 miles of travel. Travel further than that, and you'll have to pay to use the Supercharger network, fees for which have yet to be released. Of course, when we know more, we'll share, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the subject in the comments below. Staying with charging for a second, we're zipping back to the start of this very long week when the White House announced a brand new investment into alternative fuel infrastructure in the form of a series of so-called corridors across the US, where refueling infrastructure for a variety of different vehicle types will be constructed. The largest of these will be the establishment of 48 electric vehicle charging corridors, spanning from coast to coast and crossing 35 different states, where appropriate charging infrastructure will be installed every 50 miles or so. There's quite a lot of the US not covered by the proposed route, and the final plans will be down to the Federal Highway Administration, so it may take a while to see it in action. We should also note that Tuesday's election result may cause this project to be scrapped, so we're going to be keeping our eyes peeled on this one for now. It's almost 6 years to the day that Nissan officially began deliveries of its Leaf electric hatchback, and despite some minor revisions to power electronics and battery capacity, the car has remained pretty much unchanged during that time. And if we're honest, it's long overdue to be replaced with the upcoming next generation Leaf. But for a little while longer, that won't happen, it appears, as Nissan officially unveiled the 2017 Nissan Leaf lineup this week, complete with 30 kilowatt-hour battery pack as standard for all trim levels, and a few nips and tucks here and there to keep the car on sale just a little while longer until the next generation Leaf hits the market, hopefully next year. Price-wise, the new 2017 Nissan Leaf starts from $30,680 before incentives, while the high-end premium Leaf SL starts at $36,790. Given the 238-mile Chevy Bolt EV is just about to launch with an entry-level price just above the Leaf SL, I'm honestly not sure how many 2017 Leafs will actually sell. However, it's worth noting here that there's a massive fire sale at most Nissan dealers on outgoing 2016 models. So if you're in the US, want a deal, and don't mind having just 107 miles of EPA-approved range, now might be the time to get your new car, just until the next generation Leaf debuts. It's well known that regulation and incentive programs have been instrumental in giving electric cars the kickstart they need to gain popularity around the world. And when that regulation comes into play, a few automakers accept the challenge, but a majority fight and moan against it like a teenager told they're grounded for staying out too late last night. And like the proverbial grounded teen, as soon as there's a change of power in the offing, automakers are more than happy to challenge the old status quo to see if they can get things shaken up a little more in their favour, which is just what appears to have happened this week, just 2 days after the US presidential election. With the president-elect known to be a climate change skeptic, and with some truly shocking cabinet appointments in the offing, lobbyists from the Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers, which represents every single automaker in the US apart from Tesla, wrote to the presidential transition team on Thursday, trotting out the same old stories about how nobody wants to buy electric cars, how emission standards are too tough on automakers, and how they'll all go bankrupt if forced to continue down the path towards renewable energy and clean vehicles. As someone who's been advocating for and driving electric cars for more than a decade, I'd hoped this was all behind us in the EV1 age. Guess I should have known better. It's really time to get on those advocacy hats if you're so inclined. Moving to a more positive story now, we all know that Tesla Motors continuously works to improve and refine its line of electric cars, improving features, range, battery capacity, and of course, that headline-grabbing 0 to 60 time. Well, this week, Tesla CEO Elon Musk slipped out, via Twitter of course, that news that Tesla is working on an even faster Model S by stating that there will be a P100D ludicrous Easter egg soon that uncorks the full performance. Currently, the Tesla Model S P100D with ludicrous mode can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds, and Musk clearly wants to beat that. I'm just not entirely sure why though, because aside from just beating those into submission who say electric cars are no good, there really isn't a need to accelerate that quickly in the real world. If I'm honest, Tesla should be focusing on other things instead. Sorry. We're off to Detroit now, where General Motors announced this week that it's begun to ramp up production of the Chevrolet Bolt EV ahead of beginning vehicle deliveries by the end of this year. At the moment, dealer and customer interest appears pretty good, with customers already starting to talk to their dealerships in launch markets like California about nabbing one of the first cars off the transporter. And to keep up with demand, GM is going to push as many cars out of its Orin production facility as it can. Should you buy one? Well, if you're not a Tesla Model 3 reservation holder perhaps, and given Tuesday's news, it might be beneficial to nab one before any incentives are revoked. Say no more. With its incredible incentive program, the nation of Norway has long occupied the position as the most electric car-friendly country in the world. So much so, in fact, that making your next new car an electric one is almost expected, and it's impossible to visit any Norwegian town and not see at least one electric car within a few hundred feet of where you're standing. Norway's incentive program was born out of the desire to get 50,000 electric cars on the nation's roads by 2017. And the perks it included, free parking and charging in most major cities, permission to drive in bus lanes, and exemption from the usual taxes applied to new car sales, were more than enough to help it hit that target 2 full years early. Despite hitting that target last year, however, we heard this week that the Norwegian government has voted to continue the programme until at least 2020, ensuring electric vehicle sales can continue to rise and more polluting internal combustion engine cars are removed from the roads, cleaning up the air for all. Nice job! If you're into motorcycles, the chances are you're more than aware of Niro Motorcycles, the California company that's dominated the electric motorcycle market now for more than 6 years. And if you're familiar with Niro, you probably also know that it updates its entire lineup every year like clockwork, improving performance, range, economy, and styling at breakneck speed. Well, this year is no exception, and the 2017 Niro motorcycle lineup has just been announced. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go into all the improvements, but range is certainly worth a mention, with a Niro S, Niro DS, Niro SR, and Niro DSR all gaining tweaks to their range that give them real-world ranges of between 80 and 100 miles at highway speeds and close to 200 miles when ridden around town on the biggest battery capacity. I'm super excited to put one of these bad boys to the test, and having just officially obtained my motorcycle license and having been asked to apply for a job as a motorcycle instructor, I'm very, very keen to do so. We're off to the Middle East next with the news that Hyperloop One has signed an agreement with the Dubai Roads and Transportation Authority to jointly evaluate a Hyperloop One system in Greater Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. Ultimately, if the study shows that the Hyperloop is a good idea for the region, then construction will start and, with any luck, will become the world's first fully functioning Hyperloop. I say with any luck because we have to remember here that Hyperloop is a completely new transportation system. that has yet to enter any kind of non-experimental status. In fact, in addition to solving the various technical challenges that come with this new form of transportation, there are all kinds of questions that still need to be answered, including any safety regulation, pricing structure, or indeed service costs. Still, if it does come into fruition, I think it's going to be one very cool way of traveling long distances with minimal carbon footprint, and that is well worth investing in. Talking of future technology, Tesla's famed Autopilot system, the innovation and the development behind it is progressing at breakneck speed, is bringing semi and eventually fully autonomous driving to the world for the first time. But Tesla's system, or rather the drivers over-relying on it, have caused some, including me, to question how safe the system is, or rather to question if drivers are making appropriate use of it or abusing the system. The answer, in Germany at least, is apparently yes, after Tesla commissioned a survey among Tesla owners to prove to the German Federal Ministry of Transport that Autopilot was a safe feature that wasn't endangering lives through owner misuse. It found out that the overwhelming majority of owners not only know how to safely operate the system, but they also understand its limitations, which is particularly good news for those worried about system abuse. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief, for now at least. And finally, we've heard quite a lot over the last year about two companies very keen to take on Tesla in the electric car marketplace: Chinese firm LICO and enigmatic startup Faraday Future. Both happen to be backed by the same Chinese billionaire, CEO of LICO, Yunteng, who can be best described as a combination of Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and Tony Stark. But this week, we learned that the funds are running low at LICO, with the young billionaire admitting that the future's looking bleak as his companies burn through cash at an extraordinarily scary rate. What does this mean? Well, the funding most certainly will have to dry up for LICO, as well as quite possibly for Faraday Future too. And that could make it very difficult for later on for them to follow through on their promises of beating Tesla. So watch this space. Well, that's your lot for today. As always, thanks for joining me, and please don't forget to leave your reactions and thoughts to the stories we covered in the comments below, as well as giving us a thumbs up and a share if you liked it, and if you didn't, give us a thumbs down. Tell us why, because otherwise, well, you know the thing, we can't improve. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at TransportEvolve, read our past and current articles at transportevolve.com, or you can check out our YouTube channel for our latest in our video updates. And if you liked what you saw today, please consider keeping us independent and impartial by supporting our Patreon crowdfunding campaign from as little as $1 per month over at patreon.com/transportevolved. We're just tipping the scales at $1,100 per month, which after expenses becomes my sole salary. So I'm very appreciative of any help that you can offer. Can't donate? Don't worry. Just spread the word about the site, retweet our posts on Twitter, and make sure you tell your friends about our YouTube channel. As always, I'll try to be back next week with another roundup of the latest Transport Evolved news. So all that's left for me to say is I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Have a fantastic weekend, and until next time, keep evolving.